Last video I left with explaining how to clean the bolt hole. This is just a reminder to make sure it's perfectly clean. You also need to clean the ball seat which the clamp rests on. You want to make sure it seats evenly so it secures the injector properly.
It is time for the box of many things. So, I'm not going to go through all the contents of the box today, but what do you need to know about its contents for the purposes of this repair? I will show you. A new fuel injector return line. We will need one of those. We will also need a new fuel injector seal. This is a new turbo intake seal. I believe that's the part number. Need a new one of those. What else? 2 new air filters. Let's see. So one of these is left, one of these is right. It doesn't matter. Actually, it does matter, but it's obvious to know which one's which because they won't fit in the other box. So don't worry about mixing them up. It's impossible. And you already saw these 2 little thingies. Alright. Good. Great. The rest of the stuff is for the C220. So this goes back into the box, and as does this. So for now, the box of many things goes back into storage.
Honestly, I forgot what I was doing here. Probably just cleaning out the area.
Right now, I'm actually very near completion. There's one final step left to do, and that is to polish the seat where the fuel injector goes into. And you'll need to come up with a tool to do that. So either you go and you buy one of those valve grinding tools that you just do that, and then valve lapping tools, whatever the hell they're called, the one with the suction cups. But you'll have to cut one of the ends off because it might fit in there. But basically, what you're looking for is for a round piece of wood that fits into the fuel injector hole. Now, what I have here is Ghetto Solutions 2.0, honestly. I rated the kitchen for tools that weren't used anymore. And I don't know what the hell you use this for. I'm not a culinary master, but this here's gonna work. I'm gonna cut this big bulb off with my miter saw. Just make sure this is perfectly flat. You want a flat surface to grind against. And then what you need to do is put on a little bit of sandpaper. Some people would say to glue it on. I don't want to wait for glue to work, and I don't have any super glue at home, as it turns out. So I'm going to try duct taping it around the little piece of sandpaper. And yeah, so I'm going to modify this, and we'll see how it turns out. After a little bit of grinding, I came up with this thing. I actually already tested it out. It works very, very well. You don't need to glue this. Duct tape is fine. So yeah, just make sure you bore it out to make sure it fits. There's 2 notches in there. There's one notch, it's a little bit thinner than the rest, so make sure it fits into the innermost notch so it goes all the way down. But basically, yeah, I already gave it a couple of shots. It's working really well, so I'm at 150 grit now. This is what I started with. I'll probably only move up to 220, maybe 320, just to get the seat as perfect as possible. $150. You basically just cut a little strip like this, put it on top and then just wrap it around with just one layer of duct tape. You don't want it to be too thick, otherwise it's not going to go back in the hole. Gotta improvise a quick tool to clean the seat out. And what am I gonna use to do that? You guessed it, duct tape. I'm gonna put a Q-tip at the end of very long pliers. Actually, from what I remember, these pliers don't fit in there. Never mind the pliers. We'll put a Q-tip at the end of a screwdriver. There you go, seat cleaning 101. Dirty, 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 dirty. Into the garbage bin with you. Really, I don't have any 320, none at all. Oh, 320. Now we're going to move up to some 320, some 3M 320. That rolls out of the mouth nicely. No! Anyway, we're going to move on to this just to make that seat nice and perfect. HD time. Stop shaking. Alright, so after another pass with the 320 grit, I came up with a rather very satisfying result. I just have to clean the seat up, and it's time to assemble in reverse order, more or less.
Be sure to have that seat perfectly clean. Any dirt stuck there could mess with the copper washer. A Q-tip soaked in water taped to a screwdriver works real well to pick up the dirt that was left behind from sanding.
I'm going to coat the injector with just a tiny little bit of anti-seize, so if this ever happens again, it's going to come right out. Just a nice thin layer of anti-seize around the body. Don't forget the new gasket. It'll stay on the tip of the injector, so don't worry about it falling and not being aligned. It's staying more or less. New bolt, new clip. The torquing procedure officially is 7 Newton meters plus 90 degrees plus 90 degrees again. However, lots of people have had trouble with the second 90 degrees because it might cause the threads to get damaged or the bolt to snap or something crazy like that. So what I'm going to do is I'll follow some online recommendations to say 7 Newton meters and then just 90 degrees once. That's actually already enough to crush the washer and to torque the bolt to yield. So that's basically what you're looking for, torque to yield and to crush the washer. So that's what I'll do. I'll do 7 Newton meters or 5 foot-pounds about, and then 9 degrees.
I know measuring small torque with a big wrench is pretty hard, but you can feel the washer crush. Once that happens, you need to give it an extra 90 degrees. If I'm honest though, I just sort of eyeballed it.
Alright, there you go. That's how it looks. I probably should have installed the line, the fuel line first, and then tighten it once the injector was all the way in. So now I'm gonna have to mess around with that for a little bit, but I think it's gonna be alright.
Installing the high pressure line after the injector was already installed didn't pose any extra problems. I don't have an exact torque figure for you, I don't even know how you would measure it, but you have to have it on pretty snug. Tight, but not too tight. If you've ever tightened the flare fitting, then you know how tight it should be. A crow's foot wrench would definitely help tightening the injector end. It is not necessary, however. I reached it with a regular wrench. The power steering cap got in the way again. It's amazing how many things interfere with it. Next step for me is to replace the return line. To remove the line, you need to remove this clip and also cut the old line somewhere near the left cylinder bank after it passes under the fuel rail. You have to cut the line because that allows you to pull it from underneath the fuel rail without removing the entire rail itself. For that reason, I'll route the new line above the fuel rail. To disconnect the line from an injector, you have to pull the plastic pressure ring up to release it from the fuel injector. When you install the new line, be sure to push those rings all the way back down, otherwise they might leak.
When I saw the quantity of oil in the mass airflow sensor tube, I immediately became suspicious because I know that that oil comes from the PCV system, and two things really cause excessive PCV oil to be sucked into the intake. I mean, the first one you'll think, oh, well, it's probably worn piston rings causing all that blow-by and whatever, but honestly, on well-maintained engines, especially Mercedes, they don't wear the bottom end. Your piston rings are fine. The second suspect, and it's often overlooked, sadly, leading to a lot of other problems, is the air filter. I saw the oil, I'm like, that's not normal. And excessively dirty air filters that haven't been changed in a long time, they can actually cause quite a lot of crap. I mean, quite a lot of oil to be sucked into the air intake. And I mean, look at this. This is just nasty. I don't know how well you can see it, but I mean, that's full of bugs and of crap. And I actually already cleaned this out, because when I opened this up, I was like, holy crap, that's bad. And I thought I might have to reuse them for a couple of days until my new ones arrive, but turns out I don't have to. So these are going straight into the garbage because they're just nasty. This is how it's supposed to be. And as I said, I mean, these things are asymmetrical, so if you pull the wrong filter out and it doesn't go into its hole, it's because you need the other filter. There's no way of mixing this up. It's impossible. Equally as nasty. Look at that. Disgusting crap. Totally full. I also cleaned that one too a little bit. Man, they are absolutely nasty, those filters. Clean filter. Very nice. Oh. What? Doesn't make sense. Geometry, guys. Know your shapes. Final step, put this back. It might be a little bit easier to leave the bolts that hold the air boxes, leave them a little bit loose so that you can spread the air boxes outwards. So this goes back in easier. It's a little bit of a silly design. It's hard to get back. It's hard to get the pipe back on, but if you let them spread, it should be fine.
At this point, you're on the home stretch. Just put the bat wing back in and tighten everything up. Unfortunately, my camera ran out of SD card space and didn't record the first startup. Turn the key to the on position, but don't start the engine yet. Let the electric fuel pump chase all the air out. You will hear the air circulate through the lines. Once all the air is out, start the engine. I just let the auto start do its thing. The engine started quickly and right away settled into an even idle. Check for any leaks, and if all is good, reinstall the engine cover and you're good to go. I've included a clip of the engine running a week after I completed the repair at the end of the video. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the series, and I hope I inspired some of you to tackle this repair yourself. I will begin filming a new series in a couple of weeks or so stay tuned for more.